Welcome to the Point of Convergence podcast. I am your host, Grant Lira. Get ready to sit down, tune in, and implement. Remember, the knowledge you learn here and anywhere else in your life is only worth something to you if you use it. So get implementing after this episode and enjoy.
Quite a lot to unpack.
Go on. No, this is good.
So there's a book called The Gift of Dyslexia, and I didn't read this until last year, but this captures exactly it. The mental function that causes dyslexia is a gift in the truest sense of the word, a natural ability, a talent. It is something special that enhances the individual. Dyslexics don't all develop the same gifts, but they do have certain mental functions in common. Here are the basic abilities all dyslexics share. They can utilize the brain's ability to alter and create perceptions. The spinning spheres are nothing more than an emergent property of dyslexia. They are highly aware of the environment. They're more curious than average. They think mainly in pictures instead of words. They're highly intuitive and insightful. They think and perceive multidimensionally using all the senses. They can experience thought as reality, and they have vivid imaginations. So I read that and I go, fucking hell, that is me to a T. And that's why it is that people are so threatened by me. Because, and here's what it took me 18 months, and for something to take me 18 months is heavy contemplation. I had to figure out what it must be like if you have one perspective. So for me, I've got up to 15 that I can hold constantly, and theoretically I can take as many as I want. But for me, if I say blah, 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 and you say, I don't go, ah, I go, woo, and I step into that perspective. Because for me, truth is the combination of all the different perspectives, because religions, self-helps, all these different things that exist in the world, they're insights that people have had to truth, whether there's a higher power, whatever it is. And they basically all say the same sort of thing, but from their own perspective. So I figured out that was why I hadn't worked. So I was not working. I had no money. I'd spent all my money. I hadn't died, so I'm now on benefits in the UK. So disabled benefit is what I live on, and I had to get the money to pay to publish that book myself, because no one would. No, it's not for people to read. It's when you publish it and get an ISBN number, they take a copy and put it in the British Library. So that's why I did it, to write down all the experiments I'd done and what I found out. And the last section of the book is called A Treatise on the Evolution of Human Consciousness. And it's like 20 techniques that exist in various, PhD studies as to how you can beat the word ability. So any one of them, 100%, 200% improvement. And what I do, I have this thing called recombinative innovation, which I read about in a book by Matthew Syed called Rebel Ideas. iPhone, recombinative innovation. The phone is just a phone. Then it was a music player, but iPhone came along, video, browser, camera, searchlight, music, texting, all that sort. That is an example of someone taking lots and lots of disparate things and making them one thing. That's what I've been doing all my life. So I joined this company to sell websites, to pay to get this book published, and I bless people, but my approach to anything is so different from the majority that it genuinely frightens them. So I say to them, what is it you want to achieve? And then my brain can create 15 real-time different variations of a plan. And because it's visual thinking, I construct metaphors inside my mind for solutions to the problems. In the past, it had just been me. Now I've got copywriters, app designers, web designers, personal coaches, all these sort of stuff around me. So I start networking with them in an attempt to try and get people to be serious about their marketing. Couldn't do it. So I thought, sod this. Then COVID-19 happened. and so we were locked down in the UK from the something of March. I was at a Testament gig on the 6th of March. I think it was the end of March in the UK. So I have earned a little bit of money, commission, but not enough. It was beautiful sunny weather in March 2020. I had a heat wave in the UK. I lay on my balcony eating ice creams for 6 months, didn't do anything. Then a guy I'd gone to school with sought me out. I told him about the book. I said, oh, no one's going to read it. He goes, oh, my dad will read it. He's an ex-teacher. And I sent him an electronic copy. And he goes, this book's really good. And I'm like, really? So I thought, oh, I better finish it and do it. So I finished the book, and then essentially, sorry that length of this, essentially I am cause motivated. So both in the program for children coaching and in the hospital radio, I wanted them to have this strength, this joy, this lift, this light that they are naturally. And I was unable to complete it in primary education, predominantly for 3 fatal reasons. The first reason I failed in primary education was I did not know until after the event how differently my brain operated from other brains. So I'm neurodivergent. I gave myself away, and therefore I was not valued, and I was doing it all on my own. So those 3 flaws are the reason why it didn't work. But so I ran over 3,000 experiments with children, so coached 680 children in 18 schools, and the same child on a different day is a different experiment. You're doing loads and loads of things to get the engagement. And all that stuff was why I wrote the book. But then I thought, oh, and basically I'm a feminist. There are a few books, The Vindication of the Rights of Womanhood, Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg, various things which talk about the difficulty girls have breaking into various sectors. So in the UK, in politics, in Parliament, at the current rate, for women and men to be equally balanced as they are in society will take another 250 years. In the UK, the highest percentage of female representation is in entrepreneurship, which is 34%. But for every pound invested in the UK, women get 7p or 7 cents. So there's a real problem with gender equality. And all of the wishing and wanting and hoping doesn't change things. What changes things is when you produce a result that's so massive that it forces people to sit up and pay attention. So I think, right, well, I know that I've been able to rebuild my brain, which is neuroplasticity. I know all these techniques I've researched and found for developing abilities beyond what people can conceive of create what's called intrinsic motivation. So the children would do a thing not because they were told to, but because they were invited to. So quick example, so the last 2 schools I was in, I challenged the children to not play computer games during half term. The first school I did it in, I only thought of the idea on the Wednesday before the Friday, and so I got 10% of 2 year 6 classes with letters from parents to confirm. The next school I went into, I had time to plan it, so I got 35%. So I went from 10% to 35%. So the rate of my improvement is unimpeded by linear progression, which is what most people do. I bounce over things because I acquire the knowledge and go for it. So the potency.world is, I want £6.5 billion. I'm going to build 5 foundations in 5 countries around the world. These foundations will be like a Harvard campus or a Cambridge campus, so numerous buildings, shops, utilities, all that sort of stuff, but within a secured area. Because so there's been stories in the UK, I'm sure the same in the US, of sexual abuse in schools. There was a website set up here called Everyone's Invited by a Woman, and within a week they had 10,000 anonymous survivor stories of sexual abuse. It was on the news, on the BBC News, that of 5,000 reports of sexual inappropriate behaviour, 2,000 of those, both the perpetrator and the victim were below 10. So the shit that's going wrong with this species is happening to us at a very early age. And there's a TED talk I refer to where they take boy babies and put them in pink romper suits, and girl babies and put them in blue romper suits, then give them to adults to play with toys. The adults give them the gendered toy.